Hello student. So after completion of the aorta, let's start the blood supply to the upper limb. So upper limb mostly supplied by the brachial artery, the radial artery and the ulnar artery. Then the venous drainage of the upper limb, that should be occurs the two parts, that is the superficial venous drainage and the deep venous drainage. The superficial venous drainage, that includes the venous arch, then the cephalic vein, basilic vein, and the deep venous drainage, it includes that the radial vein, the ulnar vein, the brachial vein. So in this way, that is the venous drainage of the upper limb that should be occurs. So let's see the detail of the blood supply of the upper limb. So let's start the brachial artery. So it is the main artery of the arm. So here in this diagram you can see that is the brachial artery, this one. So it begins from the lower border of the teres major muscle. So here you can see that is the teres major muscle, and from this artery should be start. Okay? And it is the continuation of the axillary artery. So from this teres major muscle, that is this artery is known, that is the axillary artery, and at the lower border of the teres major muscle, as it is enters into that the arm, so that is called the brachial artery. Then it goes downwards in front of the elbow and at the level of the neck of the radius. So here you can see that is the neck of the radius. It is divided into the radial and the ulnar artery. So here you can see that is the lateral side, the radial artery, and the medial side, that is the ulnar artery. Then the branches of the brachial artery. So it gives, if during its course, it gives that is the several branches. First, that is the muscular branches. So muscular branches that should be supply the muscles of the anterior compartment of the arm, means that is the bicep brachii, coracobrachialis and the brachialis. These three muscles, they are supplied by the muscular branches. Then the second branch, that is the profunda brachii artery. So here you can see this one, this artery in this way, that should be goes downwards. So profunda brachii artery, it is the largest branch of the brachial artery, and it is arises from the posteromedial aspect of the brachial artery. So here you can see just below to the lower border of the teres major muscle. Okay? It accompanies with the radial nerve. Okay? And then it should be crosses the spiral groove on the posterior surface, and then it goes downward direction in this way. Then the third branch, that is the nutrient artery. Here you can see that is the nutrient artery that should be enters into the humerus, and that is supply nutrition to that the humerus. Then the next artery, that is the superior ulnar collateral artery. Here you can see that is it arises near the middle of the arm and accompanies the ulnar nerve. Then the next branch, that is the inferior ulnar collateral artery, or that is also called the supratrochlear artery. It arises near the lower end of the humerus and divides into that the anterior and the posterior branches, which takes part in the formation of the arterial anastomosis around the elbow. Okay? And then this brachial artery, whenever it goes downwards in front of the elbow, it should be divided into that the radial and the ulnar artery. The here in this diagram you can see that is the anastomosis around the elbow joint. So here that is the ulnar collateral artery, and this is the superior ulnar collateral artery, and this is inferior ulnar collateral artery, and it should be forming that the anastomosis, arterial anastomosis around the elbow joint. Okay. The clinical importance of the brachial artery, that is the brachial pulse that should be felt in the cubital fossa medial to the tendon of the bicep. For the pulsation, it should be recorded the blood pressure into that in front of the cubital fossa, this way. Then the second clinical point, that is the brachial artery effectively compresses against the shaft of the humerus at the level of insertion of the coracobrachialis, means near in this region. to stop the hemorrhages in the upper limb. So if that is the bleeding should be occurs into that any region of that is the brachial artery, radial artery or ulnar artery, so you can compromise at the lower border of the insertion of the coracobrachialis to stop the hemorrhage. Then the next clinical point, that is the rupture of brachial artery in the supracondylar fracture of the humerus. So that is the generally the lateral supracondylar fracture or the supracondylar fracture. It should be occurs the rupture of the brachial artery, and it may be lead to Walkman's ischemic contracture. So these are the clinical importance related with that the brachial artery. So the radial artery, after then we should have to see the radial artery. So here you can see that is this one, this is the radial artery. So the radial artery, it is the smaller terminal branch of the brachial artery. So you know brachial artery in front of the cubital fossa, it should be divided into the two branches, that is the radial branch and the ulnar branch. So it is the smaller terminal branch of the brachial artery, and it begins in the cubital fossa at the level of the neck of the radius. Then it passes downwards to the wrist. So here you can see with lateral convexity. In upper part it lies beneath the brachioradialis on the deep muscles of the forearm, and into the distal part, means that is the lower part of the forearm, it lies the anterior surface of the radius, which is covered by only the skin and the fascia. And because of this, here in this lateral side you can take the pulsation of the radial artery. Okay? Then we should have to see that is the branches of the radial artery. So during its course it gives these several branches. First, that is the muscular branches. So muscular branches to give the supply to the lateral muscles of the forearm. Then the second branch, that is the radial recurrent artery. It arises into that the cubital fossa and takes part in the formation of the arterial anastomosis around the elbow joint. Then the next is that is the palmar carpal branch. So that is the lowermost side of that is the radial artery. So for this you can see the another diagram. So here in this diagram you can see that is the palmar carpal branch, this one. This is okay. It arises near the wrist and anastomosis with the palmar carpal branch of the ulnar artery. So here that is the ulnar artery, and it should be joins with the palmar carpal arch of the ulnar artery. And the last one branch, it should be formed, that is the superficial palmar branch. So here you can see the superficial palmar branch, this one. Okay. So it arises just above the wrist and enters into the palm of the hand by passing in front of the flexor retinaculum. So here you can see that is the flexor retinaculum. It joins the terminal part of the ulnar artery. So here that is the ulnar artery, and it should be joins with the terminal part of the ulnar artery to complete the superficial palmar arch. So here this is the superficial palmar arch. Then the clinical importance of the radial artery. So you know that is the in the lower part, the radial artery, it is very much superficial, and that is covered only into the superficial fascia and the skin. So and the lateral aspect of the forearm and in the root of the thumb, you can easily hurt that is the palpitation of that is the radial artery. Next clinical point that is related with the radial artery, that is the Walkman's ischemic contracture. So in this, the sudden complete occlusion or the laceration due to supracondylar fracture of the humerus. That means into that the brachial artery can causes the paralysis of the flexor muscle of the forearm due to ischemia within a few hours. The muscles can be tolerate ischemia up to the 6 hours only. Thereafter, it undergo the necrosis and the fibrous tissue replaces the necrotic tissue. As a result, those muscles shortens and permanently producing the flexure deformity characterized by the flexion of the wrist, the extension of metacarpophalangeal joints, and the flexion of the interphalangeal joints, which lead to loss of the hand power. So that is called the Walkman's ischemic contracture. So here next to it, that is the ulnar artery. So here you can see that is the ulnar artery. So ulnar artery, it is the largest terminal branch of the brachial artery. It begins into that the cubital fossa. So here you can see that is it begins into the cubital fossa at the level of the neck of the radius. So here, then it runs downwards and reaches to the medial side of the forearm, midway between the elbow and the wrist. In upper 1/3 of the forearm, the course it is oblique, and the median nerve lies the medial to that the artery. So here you can see that is the median nerve, this one. Okay. Then the ulnar nerve, it lies medial to the distal 2/3 of the artery. Okay. So here you can see that is, this is the ulnar nerve, this one. Then it enters into the palm. Here you can see it enters into the palm in front of the flexure retinaculum, lateral to the ulnar nerve. So this one, that is lateral to that the ulnar nerve. It terminates in the hand by dividing into the large superficial and the small deep branches. The superficial branches, the continuation of the artery superficial palmar arch, which anastomosis with the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery. Okay. Then in upper part of this it course, it lies deep to the superficial flexure muscle, and in the lower part of it course, it becomes the superficial and lies between the tendon of flexure carpi ulnaris and the flexure digitorum superficialis. Okay. Then we should have to see that is the branches of the ulnar artery. First, that is the muscular branches to neighboring muscles, which is supplied to the neighboring muscles. Then anterior and posterior ulnar collateral artery. So this artery takes part in the arterial anastomosis around the elbow joint. So in the last diagram we should have to see that is the anastomosis. So here you can see that is the ulnar artery, and it gives branches the anterior ulnar recurrent artery and the posterior ulnar recurrent artery. Okay? That should be help to forming that the anastomosis, arterial anastomosis around the elbow joint. Then next to it we should have to see the another branches of the ulnar artery. So the next artery, it is the common interosseous artery. So common interosseous artery, it arises from the upper part of the ulnar artery, and after a very short course at the upper border of the interosseous membrane, it divides into anterior and posterior interosseous artery. Okay? And as the name suggests, that is the interosseous artery, so it is enters into that the interosseous membrane and supply to the interosseous muscle. Okay. After then, the next artery of the ulnar branch, that is, so here in this diagram you can see that is the anterior and posterior carpal, ulnar carpal branches. So these arteries takes part in the formation of anterior and posterior carpal arches. And the last one, that is the terminal branches. So terminal branches, they are two. The larger superficial branch, so here you can see this one, this is the superficial branch. So larger superficial branch which continues as the superficial palmar arch. So here you can see it should be forming the superficial palmar arch, while the smaller deep branch which joins to forming the deep palmar arch. So here you can see that is the deep branch of ulnar artery. So it should be from the deep palmar arch. Okay, so that is the ulnar artery.